Welcome back. We are glad you joined us today. We're here for our very first message in this series, or podcast in this series, called Best Summer Yet. And I don't know, summer is just about here. Maybe by the time you're listening to this, we'll actually be here. I know I'm looking forward to it. How about you?
Yeah, very much so. I mean, as we record this, my son finished his last sort of assignment that would be due for this school year. So I know he was very ready. Like it was a celebration when he walked in the door from that. So.
That is awesome. So let's maybe share a favorite summer memory.
Sure. I feel like I can jump for a lot, but one that quickly jumps as a highlight is this would have been 5 years ago this summer. We were celebrating my mom's 70th birthday, and we went, kids, Courtney and I went with my brother and mom and dad. We went to Los Angeles, went to Disneyland and Universal Studios, and there's so many great memories that we still all share back and forth of things that happened there, and there's, especially it was the right time, especially for my daughter. When she saw the characters and stuff like that, she'd run up and give them big hugs. And
that's great.
That time is definitely, she wouldn't do that now. But so there's just those memories. So that's a great summer memory. That is actually, kind of a big memory that has many great smaller memories within it that really come together. So yeah, what about you?
Well, one I can think of when my kids are a bit younger, we used to go up to Invermere just about every summer and rent a condo in the ski hill up there.
Okay.
And it was just a beautiful place to be, and up in the mountains, and there's a big golf course there. We used to walk around that. We rented bikes sometimes. There's a tennis court and mini golf there, and I just remember it was kind of the highlight of our summer. The kids had lots of activities. It was a great place for us to unwind, and and they had a big giant water slide there. I remember my boys Spencer and Hudson really liked that, and it's just a very fond memory of summer for me. So
that's very cool.
Okay, what's your favorite summer activity?
Summer activity? I don't know. Like it's a couple of years ago, we redid the backyard. So right now it's just in the evening being able to sit out there and sometimes read, just have conversations and whatnot. So there's lots of great activities that could probably fill definitely a list of up there, but I feel like that's the one that comes to mind.
Yeah,
for me.
I've been with you in the backyard.
Yeah,
that's a nice time. Yeah, similar to me, we have a place to sit out in the back of our place, which is always kind of fun. We try and get out there in the mornings and the evenings if we can. But for me, it's flying kites. I like to fly kites ever since I was a kid, and so every chance I get, I'm off to the park, and I'm definitely the oldest one out there flying kites. But it's kind of a fun activity for me, and I really enjoy that. So summer is a time of vacations and camping on weekends, and time to disconnect from work and lots of regular commitments, and hopefully take things slower. Spend time to reconnect with your family on kind of a deeper level. And often we do that for church too. We disconnect from church in the summer, and you know what? I think that's okay.
Yeah,
it's fine to go on vacation or to go camping. And I truly believe that Jesus wants us to enjoy the nice weather and appreciate the change in scenery and the beautiful world of nature that he created for us.
Yeah.
However, when it comes to our relationship with Jesus, I think we need to think of it in the same way we think about spending quality time with our family in the summer, and that's to maybe reconnect with Jesus on a deeper level. And if you're like me, in my own head, I'm going, but you just said I don't necessarily have to go to church, and I know, and I think what I'd like to explore today is how we actually do connect with Jesus when we might miss attending church, even if it's most Sundays.
Right.
So first thing I like to talk about is Bible reading and prayer. Again, this is the way we communicate with God, and in any relationship, we have to think of it that way. Communication is key. It's important. And so, again, just a few moments each day alone to connect with God, and just to read the Bible in a regular way and to pray. Suggestion that I have is to as followers of Jesus, I think it's important for us to know about Jesus. So one thing that is easy to do over the summer is to read through maybe the Gospels and Acts.
Yeah, that's a great idea. They're not overly, they don't take a lot of time to read through.
No.
And I mean, I'd even just sit there and say, if you know, like, because if we're talking about activities like to do this summer, there's so much we can do that if you say, well, sit down and read, or go for a walk and listen. You know, I think there's ways we can do this. I don't want to knock that. It's a really great way to get out and enjoy the sunlight, and hopefully there's lots of great walkways and stuff like that by where you live or where you end up on vacation or something like that, and just plug in some headphones and go for a walk and listen to a chapter or two, something like that.
Yeah, and that's a great, I'd like to give a plug to the Bible app for that. There's a different, if you have a phone or a tablet, you've got 50 or so versions of the Bible on there. You can pick the one you like. And again, they have different readers again for lots of the different plans. So you can actually listen while you walk or do other activities. And that's a great way to get the Bible reading in. And especially on a walk, that allows you time to think about what you've just listened to and to talk to God about it. So,
yeah, absolutely.
Another thing that I might suggest is we did a series at Christmas time called Lectio Divina, which sounds Latin, because it is, and it's a way to sort of combine scripture reading and prayer together in more of a meditative process that takes 10 or 15 minutes. And now that I think back about it, I don't know why we thought that would be a good thing to introduce at Christmas time when everybody's super busy. So maybe this is the time in the summertime to try and try something different like that you may not have tried before. If you want to go back, you can look at the series we did on that, and we did a little overview video to remind you of the highlights. So those are some things that we can do individually. But I think there's obviously a component of following Jesus that is part of community. And I don't think we're meant as followers of Jesus to do things in isolation. Yeah. So at his last meal with Jesus had with his disciples before he was crucified, he said, "So now I'm giving you a new commandment, love each other. Just as I have loved you, you should love each other. Your love for one another will prove to the world that you are my disciples." And we did a series earlier this year called Thriving in Community. Mm-hmm. And there we explored the idea that community is vital to transformation. Now, just before we get into some of the specifics of that, I know that we, in our series, have chosen the word community on purpose instead of a word that if you've gone to church for any length of time might pop into your mind, and that's the word fellowship.
That's right. We tend to use that word in no other context, seemingly. I'm sure that we do have a little bit, but like I mean, I have, and guilty of it. We're like, we need to fellowship together. Yeah. And like, we don't use that. Like, I've never called up a friend and said, you know what? We haven't fellowshipped in a long time. It's like, no, we haven't hung out in a long time, or we should do something. Yeah. And so that's really, in a way,
it's been reduced to hanging out.
Yeah.
And I would even go further to say that it's usually a very casual time that's not very deep. Yeah. And I mean, there's usual coffee and donuts and those, and it usually happens after a service. I mean, how many times have we heard a pastor say, in my lifetime anyway, let's all meet in the fellowship hall for a time of fellowship after the church service. So I think in that case, the real meaning of fellowship has lost its meaning in this context.
Yeah.
It has been reduced to something that's very casual and short term. The actual meaning of fellowship is actually much richer.
Yeah, that's true.
I looked it up in the Collins Dictionary, and fellowship is a group of people that join together for a common purpose or interest.
Yeah.
Think of an example of that?
Yeah, well, I mean, hopefully everyone shares this with me. I'm going to say one of the best movies in the world ever. Lord of the Rings, Concur. Fellowship of the Ring. Yep. Probably, I would say it may even be my favorite of the three, even though it's hard to like. Yeah. There's all part of a big story.
Yeah.
But basically it's a group of very different individuals that get together around a common purpose.
Right.
And that's really a lot about what fellowship is about. They had a common purpose of they were going to take this ring to make sure it got destroyed in the fires of Mount Doom.
Yeah, and so when we say the word community, we actually mean the true meaning of fellowship here.
Yeah.
And I want us to think of it like that, a group of about maybe 10 to 15 people that get together with each other. And our common purpose as followers of Jesus is to help each other follow Jesus.
Yeah.
And we're going to build off our Thriving in Community series. And we're going to talk about the ingredients for a thriving community that include building joy, attachment, love, group identity, and healthy correction. So over the next few weeks, we're going to look at each of those individually. But today I just want to take sort of a few broad strokes and give an overview.
Sure.
So the question I want to ask us then is, what can we do to thrive in community this summer so that we can stay connected to Jesus, even if it means I actually don't get to church that much on a Sunday?
Right. So you might be a part of the existing kind of home group.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really probably good to some, like, and again, like this summer, it can be difficult to do that, but like to try to find places to keep meeting. And the nice thing is about this sort of thing of maybe being able to do that is this is just a little more flexible.
Yeah.
Like Sunday mornings, which are great. We love those times together.
Yep.
That happens at a certain place at a certain time.
Yep.
And again, we're people could be here, there, and everywhere. I'm going to be gone for a while. You're going to be gone for a while. Spencer, who you can't see but is over there somewhere, will be gone for, people will be gone for a while, but like it's a little easier. That's sort of like, but hey, we're all here on a Tuesday or something like that. Let's meet here at this place.
And even if everyone can't get together, just
meet with
those who are, get together.
Exactly.
And then as a separate item, maybe invite another person or a couple to your house, and or even to a restaurant and have a meal. Could be someone in your home group or someone maybe in your sort of larger church community or family that maybe you don't get to see that much. Yeah. And over the summer, you just, hey, I haven't seen so-and-so in a while. Let's call them up and see how they're doing and maybe invite them over. Or that could even extend to maybe someone in your neighborhood and a neighbor that you've waved at a few times and gotten to know each other over the fence kind of thing, and a few stories, and maybe just invite them, get to know them a little better. What else can we do?
No, I'm going to have a barbecue.
Yep. Something fun.
Just simple.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go for ice cream.
Yeah.
Go to the park or lake.
That's right.
Again, anytime, any place or time where you can just spend time with each other.
Doesn't have to be difficult.
No, it doesn't have to be at all. And another thing I think we do is like just check up on each other.
Yep.
Ask how people are doing. Could be one-on-one, could be in a group chat. I know sometimes for some people, I'm thinking of one person maybe in my group, where summer is actually more anxious time for them.
Right.
Because they're a very person who relies on their schedule and regular rhythms, and summer's none of those things. And for them, it's absolute chaos. And they've got the kids home all the time, and it makes them very anxious. And I know there's other people in our community, their kids are actually, or at least one of their kids is heading off to university this year, and their summer's kind of filled with that, and that is causing them some anxiety where they're going to live and packing and getting them ready and leaving home for the first time and all that stuff. So,
well, sure. I mean, I know for me, even though I don't know that I would say I get anxious, but like the kids, they're going to be out of school, and so that rhythm is kind of gone, and just the different rhythms that happen. And I find like I can get, without that, I get almost a little time blind.
Yeah.
Where it's sort of like all of a sudden it's like, what day of the week is it again?
Yeah.
Like, cause it just, the schedule is off.
Yeah.
And you're just like, oh, it's Thursday? Like, when did that happen? I'm not sure. Or what do you mean it's not Thursday yet? It's only Monday? How did that, I thought there was a longer week. But yeah, I find time blindness in that way is just.
Yeah, like that's a really good point. I like that. Okay, so another thing we can do is to pray for people in your group. I try and do this at least once a week. Lots of times, if I know people are going through something, I'll even remember to pray for them every day. And just I don't know. Sometimes you'll feel I feel just a thought or impression. Hey, I think maybe I should pray for somebody. I haven't thought about them, or I wonder what they're going through, and then I'll pray for them and then call them up and they, I really was going through something. Thank you for praying for me. So, and then when you are together, remember to share your stories. And then when you do that, to practice gratitude. Thank God you're able to have a day off or a week off or a holiday or a vacation, or maybe they helped you with something difficult while you were on holiday, or a beautiful sunrise or a sunset. Or I know my wife Mata gets very excited about seeing different wild animals. You see elk or deer, or we saw a bobcat the other day in our street. The first time ever. And so those are the kind of things that I know gratitude is part of what we're going to talk about in a couple of weeks, but or actually going to talk about it a Sunday, I think.
Yep.
And so just remember to share your story. So
yeah. I kind of just think a story for me just it could be really helpful too.
Yep.
Just one time that and it wasn't during summer.
Yeah.
But I was in Florida, so it felt like summer.
You were on a vacation.
Yeah.
Oh right. Yeah. Something. Not bad, but bad enough happened.
It wasn't the funnest experience, but it was. It was a couple of years ago. Where when we still had quite a number of COVID restrictions.
Yeah.
So things had opened up a bit, but there was still a lot of tricks and stuff like that to go through and all that. And so we did a family vacation to Florida, going to Disney World. We're looking forward to that. Roughly halfway through, my son Joe got COVID.
Oh my.
And so that meant isolation. Obviously didn't want to get anyone sick. And that really sort of put a damper on how we did the rest of the holiday. Obviously he could not go to things, and with daughter there, didn't want to for her to miss out on things. And so it was just figuring out between Courtney and myself, just who's staying with Joe and helping him, and he's staying to isolate. And there's nothing better than I was feeling so much for Joe. There's nothing better than to go on a vacation to spend the entirety of it in a room.
Sick, and that probably meant he couldn't fly.
He couldn't fly home. So in with that was the other restriction, was that he couldn't get on a plane until he was 10 days after the initial COVID positive test when it happened. And so that meant that not only that happened, but that meant I had to stay there with him for an extra week. Now that sounds like wonderful to stay there for an extra week, but when you have the weight of one, for some of it, he can't really do anything.
Mm-hmm.
And then that fear that is because as much as I try to limit my contact with him, I can't limit it completely.
Yeah,
we know COVID is incredibly transmissible. If I become positive, we're there another 2 weeks essentially, 10 days from whenever that. And so there was all of that. And so I was having a really hard time with that, and just, missing out all that, and just obviously the changing, and just being able to connect with yourself and a few other friends, even though there was so much distance, just being able to have that connection, just helped me focus. It helped me enjoy it in different ways. And even when things were a little better and we still had a few days to kill, Joe and I were able to really enjoy the vacation. And even though that lingering
catch up,
a little bit of catch up and try to make up for that, but also again that lingering thing of because I had to test before I got on a plane. What happens is, if it comes back, I'll be there for longer. But it really did play a really good part of, as hard as and difficulties there were. There's actually a lot of good memories as well.
Turned out the best it probably could.
Exactly, and I, even though so far away, I didn't feel alone.
Good. I think just to kind of wrap up today, I think I just wanted to communicate that our desire is for you and for us to be able to continue to grow, mature in our faith this summer, and not drift away and sort of have to restart again in the fall. And again, remember, it's not about rules or attendance. It's about connecting or reconnecting with Jesus on a deeper level, just like with your family, and through fellowship with your community. I just like to end today with a quote from a book I'm reading from Rich Villodas called The Deeply Formed Life. And he's talking about Sabbath, which is a time of rest. And he's talking about a day of the week. But I think summer vacations loosely fit into an extended version of Sabbath. So I think what he's saying applies here to what we've been talking about. He says, we are often so used to producing that we forget to be present. The Sabbath then is a day of presence, a day of being present to God, present to others, present to creation, and even present to ourselves. It's also a rest from the need to make something of ourselves. It's a day of noticing, a day of simple, joyful presence, which is why community and eating together are such good Sabbath practices. It's a day of presence.
So I think that's probably a good place just to leave it off on there is the, and this is kind of my challenge to ourselves and all of you that are watching is let's make a point, 1, to be present with God, 2, to be present with our families, 3, to be present with our home groups if we're a part of one, 4, and this is kind of connected even to a bit of 3, but beyond our home groups, be connected with our friends, and finally, number 5, let's be just connected to even just the neighbors that we will hopefully run into as we're outside a bit more and whatnot, and just making sure being present with all of those people, I think is such a way that we can really enjoy our summer. Thank you for joining us. We will continue on in this sort of series for the month of July. The next one, right after you're watching this, if you're watching it when this comes out, will be in person, and we'll be talking about joy. So we hope to see you, whether it's going to be you're going to watch through YouTube or going to come join us in person. We'd love to see you if you are. We will see you next time.